The IELTS speaking test part 2 is the second part of the IELTS speaking test. It's the one students really struggle with, and it's sometimes called the long turn. In this video, I'm going to give you 25 tips on how to do better in the IELTS speaking test part 2. Let's go. Tip 1. The IELTS speaking test lasts for about 3 to 4 minutes. In that time, you have 1 minute of planning time and you're expected to speak for 2 minutes. Tip 2. Even though the examiner will ask you to speak between 1 and 2 minutes, you should always aim for 2 minutes. Just keep speaking until the examiner stops you. Tip 3. You'll be given a cue card that looks just like this. You'll then have 1 minute to make notes and prepare. Use this minute to think of what you're going to say for the first sentence and make notes on the card of what you want to say. Don't make full notes, just jot down some ideas. Tip 4. The topic will relate to you and your personal experience, so don't worry if you don't know the answer or you can't think of anything to say. Just talk about you, your personal life, your memories, your likes, your dislikes, something you own, someone you know, and if you can't think of something, just make it up. Tip 5. The bullet points that you get on your cue card are just there as a safety net. You don't have to talk about every single one of them. Sometimes if you talk about every one of them, you end up repeating yourself, or it only takes 1 or 2 seconds to go through the bullet points that are on that card. Don't worry, you don't have to talk about them. Sometimes the examiner doesn't even look at the card, he's just judging you on your speaking ability. The best thing to do is just answer the question, and if you run out of things to say, then look at the bullet points, and that will give you a prompt to keep you going. Tip 6 is my favourite tip in this video. Think of a story to tell, a personal story that's just about you and your memories and what you've done. When you're telling a story, you'll naturally smile, you'll have lots to talk about, you can give details about the story because it's your personal experience. So when you get that card, just think about a story you can tell about something that's relevant to that card. Telling a story will also automatically put your answer in the past tense and you'll end up using the correct tenses. If you take nothing away from this video, take away tip 6, tell a story. Tip 7. You're graded on your fluency and coherence. Fluency just means your ability to speak without unnatural interruptions or too many long pauses. It just means that you're confident and you speak naturally and easily. Coherence just means that you're making sense and your talk is well structured. Tip 8. Lexical resource is another one of the categories or the criteria that you're being graded on. It basically means, is your vocabulary appropriate? You don't need to use big fancy words, just speak naturally to the examiner and you'll be fine. Basically the appropriateness of your vocabulary. Tip 9. The third criteria that you're marked on is your grammar. It basically means to use a variety of tenses. Most videos will tell you to do this, you should use the PPF method, which means past, present and future. Don't have that in your head, it's too much to think about, especially when you only have 2 minutes. The best way to talk in a variety of tenses is, like I said in tip 6, to tell a story. Stories will automatically be in the past tense and then you can say how you feel about it now. Maybe you could add something on in the future, but don't worry about it, just tell a story, that's the main thing. Tip 10, pronunciation. All of my students in real life get really worried about pronunciation. They all want to try and have an American accent or an Australian accent or a British accent. I do have a British accent, but it's how I speak naturally. Don't worry about accents, you've got no marks for accents at all. The best way to help your pronunciation is to smile. When you smile, you'll naturally pronounce things better. So I guess the tip for number 10 is smile while you're telling your story in the IELTS speaking test part 2. Tip 11, memorize a good opener. Never ever memorize the whole speech, but it's good to have a good opener so you don't have to think about it when you're planning or when you start your speech. The questions always start with describe a something. So the best way to start your long turn or the part 2 for the IELTS speaking test is simply, I'm going to tell you about, and then what the topic is. Tip 12, paraphrase your opener. Again, this is not an essential tip, and in fact, you can spend too much time worrying about it. So only do this if you're very confident and you can do it naturally. For example, if the card says describe a toy from your childhood, you could say something along the lines of, I'm going to tell you about a toy that I had when I was a kid, and then go into your story. But again, only if you're confident. Tip 13, it's not an honesty test, it's not a lie detector test. So if you can't think of anything, like I said earlier, you can just make something up. This is why stories come in handy, because you can just make up a story about something, that's fine. Tip 14, it's a little bit of a cheat. I really want you to remember this and take it in. Tip 14 is the same as tip 6, it's the only one, I promise. Tell a story. Again, it's the easiest way to speak for 2 minutes, and you'll get your grammar, and you'll be enthusiastic, and you'll pronounce well, and you'll have a smile, and you won't run out of things to say. And if you do run out of things to say, you've still got that card to have a look at. Tip 15, stay on topic. If you do start telling a story, make sure it stays relevant to what is written on the card, and you're answering the question that's on the card, or you're describing the thing that's on the card. If you find yourself getting off track, just bring it back. Maybe you can use the card again to help you there if you start saying things that are inappropriate to the task. Tip 16, there are 6 main topics. Try and practice each of them. Here they are to the side. They are: describe a person, describe an event, describe an object, describe an activity, describe a place, describe your favourite X, and whatever the X is. I don't have a favourite X. I hate all of them. Tip 17, have fun with it. The examiner doesn't care if your story is good or bad. All they care about is your ability to speak naturally for a long time on a variety of topics. So have fun with it. Smile, try and add a little joke in there if you can, and just relax. Tip 18, practice trying to take notes in 1 minute. You can check out the videos I've made doing this test right here. But make sure you time yourself while writing these notes. See how many notes you can make in 1 minute. You can check that playlist I just showed you as well for many different types of questions for all of the 6 broad topics that may come up. Tip 19, part 2 goes directly into part 3. Part 3 will be on the same topic as your card. The tip here is be prepared for that, so after you're finished speaking, the examiner will move straight into part 3 and start having a conversation with you about the topics on the card. That's part 3. Tip 20, again, don't follow the prompts in order because you'll end up sounding like this. Okay, so my favourite toy from my childhood was a teddy bear named Henry. It was bought by my grandmother. I love it because it's a real big comfort to me. And then you've run out of time. So again, remember, story. Have a story. Tip 21. Give this video a like, because then you're going to get more content coming to your YouTube about the IELTS speaking, IELTS reading, IELTS writing, IELTS listening. They'll all be on your homepage if you like this video, and that will help you with your IELTS speaking. Because I have many speaking videos that you can check out in the description. Or I suppose other IELTS channels as well might help you. So there's plenty of them. Choose the best one for you. Tip 22. It's very hard even for native English speakers to speak for 2 minutes without stopping on a subject they only heard about 1 minute ago. It's a difficult test. I get it, you know it, so don't worry too much. The examiner is not expecting perfection, so don't worry if you have some ums or ahs or hms. That's absolutely fine, and it is actually part of natural speech. You should see these videos before I edit them. See, I said it wrong then. Edits them. I can't edit because it's a video. In the exam you can't edit, so don't worry if you make mistakes. Don't let it throw you off. But use your planning time wisely. Tip 23, if you do run out of things to say, you've looked at the card, you've answered the questions on the card after your story, then the next thing to do is say how and why. For example, you can say, I want to talk about the teddy bear that I had. I lost him when I was at a fairground. Oh, okay, why did I lose it? I was too excited and I was eating candy floss and I put the bear down, and then it's like, oh, okay, how? So how did I find it? And then keep building on your story like that. Keep thinking, oh, well, why did that happen? Or what happened next? Just keep extending your story until the 2 minutes is over. Tip 24, overload your practice. When a boxer is training for a fight, he doesn't go into sparring and do 3-minute rounds. He goes in there and does 6-minute rounds. This is overloading your training. So when you're practicing, try to speak for 3 minutes. So if you can speak for 3 minutes consistently when you're practicing, 2 minutes will be a doddle. And finally, the last tip for you is to watch high-level answers for the IELTS Speaking Task Part 2 on YouTube. Once again, you can check my videos if you like, but just find one that works for you. There are many of them online. Some of them are not quite as good as they think they are, but all of them are better than nothing. It's a great way to practice. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I hope you like my new uniform, my new t-shirt. Want to be branded? If you want more content like this, press the subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll get notified when I do a new video. Or you can check out one of these videos that will also help with your IELTS journey. Good luck and smash those exams.